Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Welcome to today's forum discussion about the topic of COVID-19 in Malaysia. So first of all, I would like to say thank you to the viewers and our panelists for taking the time of their busy schedule to join us today. I, Dr. Muhammad Zulhilmi, as a senior lecturer, Center for Research in Psychology and Human Wellbeing, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, will be the moderator for this forum. As we all know, in the year 2020, the world has been shocked by the pandemic that is known as the COVID-19. WHO are calling upon all people to practice social distancing to prevent the virus spread. Many countries in the world, including Malaysia, are under a crisis because of this pandemic. This pandemic tremendously impacts the various aspects of human life. Take the social aspect of the Malaysian during this pandemic, for example. This pandemic influenced mental health of the Malaysian to a certain degree. Because of the social distancing, we cannot be able to connect with each other as we have been used to. These circumstances will severely impact our mental well-being because we as humans are social creatures. The existence of human beings has always revolved around connectivity to others. Thus, the MCO can potentially bring about various mental health implications towards the Malaysian, such as causing fear, anxiety, and stress toward oneself. All of this can be caused by a variety of reasons and factors. For instance, the MCO possibly cause some people to lose their job, thus contribute to mental stress. Other than the general population, this pandemic also able to seriously help develop psychological stress for the healthcare workers. Because of the increasing number of patients almost every day, the healthcare workers have suffered immense physical and mental health as they risk their life on the front line of this pandemic. They would definitely be experiencing mental health implications such as anxiety, depression, burnout, and post-traumatic stress disorder. So that was some of the impacts of COVID-19 on the social aspect regarding the mental health of the Malaysian. To further explore this topic, we have expert individuals joining us on this forum as the panelists to discuss and elaborate more about the topic of COVID-19 and the impact of this pandemic on the various aspects in Malaysia. So first, I'm going to introduce our first panelist, who is the Deputy Director General, Ministry of Health, Dr. Nur Zahira Azrin binti Muhammad Zahid. Glad you could join us. Secondly, we have Puan Sri Nur Dazlin Dizia binti Hamadi. She is the Minister of Economic Affairs. Welcome, Datuk.
Hi, thank you.
Next, we have a Senior Lecturer, Research Center for History, Politics and International Affairs in the University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Dr. Muhammad Aidil Adha bin Zulkarnain. Welcome, Doctor.
Yes, thank you for inviting me to this forum.
Alright, so and our last panelist is Datuk Nur Ainul Munazah binti Hassan. She is the Minister of Defence of Malaysia. Welcome, Datuk.
Thank you, Dr. Zulhilmi.
It is an honor to be able to invite all of you to this forum. So let's start this forum. First of all, I'm curious to know about the opinion of all the panelists regarding this topic. So let's start with our first panelist, Dr. Zahira. I'm curious to know what is your opinion about this topic.
Alright, thank you to Dr. Zulhilmi for the question. Okay, for me, it is undeniable that this pandemic has drastically shaped the way we live and perform daily duties. We are now struggling to live in new norm that limits everyone to live their life as before. As a doctor myself, I'm fully aware that this pandemic also disabling healthcare system around the world because of increased case reports daily. Since we live in this deadly pandemic COVID-19 era, I strongly believe that contribution from everyone might help to flatten the curve as well as helps to bring back life before pandemic. That's my stance. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zahira. Next, Puan Sri Dazlin. What is your opinion?
Alright, thank you, Mr. Moderator, for this question. In my opinion, toward this topic, I believe that the world has changed dramatically due to this pandemic, and a lot of people panic and suffer due to the sudden call of the MCO by the government. Also, in the perspective of economy, I would say it's a rare disaster that has resulted in a tragically large number of economic loss, which is the impact of this crisis made a speed collapse of people's lives and livelihood. Moreover, Malaysia's economic past few years is not in the best position, and we enter this crisis in the vulnerable state with sluggish growth and high debt level. I strongly believe that Malaysian government is doing their best to help those in need while struggling to hold the country's economic position from collapsing due to COVID-19. Even though the economic of this pandemic is more worse than the 1998 economic downturns, I hope we can make the miracle happen once again and overcome this crisis successfully. So that was my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for that opinion, Puan Sri. Now we move on to Dr. Aidil.
Okay. Political aspect. Government should always aware with all the policy that they have settled that they might get negative response from people. Government all over the world face a lot of reaction from their own people, positively and negatively, due to the action in order to contain the virus. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aidil. Last but not least, Dato' Ainul.
Okay, I personally think that the first wave of pandemic COVID-19, most of Malaysian citizens is not realize how critical and deadly the virus is. It should be taken seriously as it is involving life. On January 25, 2020, Malaysia showed no intention of banning traveller from China. Starting from that point, the daily cases slowly increase day by day. We don't even know when and exactly this dangerous crown will end. What we need to do now is to be patient and live in a new norm, practicing all the precaution steps that advised by the government and Ministry of Health. The virus has grew stronger with many kind of variants, surely fighting harder than before despite the invention of multiple types of vaccine. Wherefore, everyone has no other option rather than living in new norm or else we will be doomed. The government has tried their best to reduce the positive cases with the implementation of the stringent measures. Thank you.
All right, after hearing all of the panelists' opinion about this topic, without wasting our time, let's proceed this forum by better understanding what exactly is the coronavirus. So my first question is to Dr. Nur Zahira. Can you explain in detail the origin of COVID-19?
Alright, thank you to our moderator for the very good question. Okay, coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19, it could be defined as illness caused by a novel coronavirus, now called severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus. Few first case was reported was during the month of December 2019. A considerable number of patients developed pneumonia of unknown cause in the capital city Wuhan of Hubei province in China, with clinically presentation greatly resembling viral pneumonia, but some rapidly progressed to severe illness. Not so long after that, by the first week of January 2020, a novel coronavirus was identified by the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) from the throat swab sample of these patients, and the virus was named 2019 novel coronavirus. The 2019 nCoV is the seventh pathogen identified to cause human respiratory tract infection. And also 2019 nCoV is a beta coronavirus like MERS and SARS, both of which were believed to have their origins in bats. Various doctors around the world have identified and characterized 2019 nCoV, which seemed to be a distinct from SARS-CoV and MERS-CoV.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zahira, for that explanation. All right, move on to the next panelist, Puan Sri Dazlin. As an expert in this economic field, I'm sure that you have known and noticed that this pandemic greatly impact our economy. Therefore, my question to you would be, can you tell us what are the impacts?
All right, thank you, Dr. Sol. It's a very hard topic because involving the government and also the people also. So, first off, a variety of Malaysians' key sectors are now in distress due to COVID-19. So some of the economic sectors such as tourism industry and manufacturing sector are in the lower state, which is the tourism industry and the manufacturing are closed because of the COVID-19. So aside from getting hit with material disruption due to the sudden MCO by the government, our manufacturing of commodities such as oil and gas is facing the global crude oil crisis, which has caused oil prices to plummet this year. So another sector is tourism, which is expected to be hit the hardest. All the travelers are advised to postpone their trip and cancel hotel booking as well as flight plans, which is a huge loss for Malaysians since it was ranked third most popular Asian travel destination in 2018. Our Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has particularly stated that the nation tourism industry has been crippled with the estimate of loss of 3.37 billion in the first 2 months of the year. Other than that, the extreme loss due to this company shutdown also give impact to the economy. The closure of small business, mainly the small and medium-sized enterprise (SME) and service could probably lead to permanent shutdown and may losing their job as well as individual groups. So because of that, it also impact the society. As I said before, due to the MCO, a lot of SME business are closed and shut down, and many people are losing their job, and some of them are put in unpaid leave. So the impact of that, it put various society in devastating and lead to social distress. Because of this impact, people are tend to feel stress and anxiety because worrying too much about their pay and after being cut off from the company. So if we are looking at this statistic, the mental health department, we are shocked by the report state because of the sharp increase in mental case due to COVID-19. As I'm not expert in this field, I will leave the expert to state further of this case. But I just want to make sure that the economic downturn has burdened them as they lost their job. Also, they still have to continue to survive despite losing their source of income. Because of that, the government are in charge to help the accountability for the matters by implementing a new policy that are able to ease the burden of the society. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dato, for that clear explanation. Based on your explanation, it is undeniable that the economy of Malaysia suffered an immense loss during this pandemic, and it's clear effect the mental health of the Malaysians. So, all right, so we move on to the next panelist, who is very experienced in the political field, Dr. Aidil. So, I am interested to know how is this pandemic influenced the Malaysian political aspect?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Moderator. And I see this question is interesting. How pandemic influence our political aspect? This pandemic really made our government to think twice for every action that they did. Some action can easily be questioned by people for its relevance. Some of our politics journey are distracted because of this pandemic. Parliament cannot be held, and the meeting session of Parliament cannot be held, and some of government action can easily be questioned by people. For instance, the Movement Control Order (MCO) really made our daily life change drastically. This made people ask, what is the benefit of the MCO if cases keep increasing each day? Government that fail to contain and lessen the infection might get punished by the people if they are not competent in the midst of the pandemic. They might lose people respect and trust, and they might get punished in the next election. Okay, that's all.
For the insightful answers. So, alright. Now we move on to the second round of this forum. So the second round start with this question that I want to ask to Dr. Zahira. What are the effects on people who have been infected by this virus, and what are the best precautions to prevent someone from being infected by this virus?
Alright, thank you. Move to discussion about fatality and complication. WHO, World Health Organization, has recently classified 6 clinical syndromes associated with SARS-CoV-19 infection. There were uncomplicated illness, mild pneumonia, severe pneumonia, ARDS, sepsis, and septic shock. In other hand, regarding uncomplicated illness, the affected person may have no specific symptoms such as fever, cold, sore throat, nasal congestion, malaise, headache, and muscle pain. Move to about treatment, talking about treatment on how to prevent this virus. It can be said that until now, no specific treatment has been recommended for this emerging coronavirus infection, except for medical supportive care. Antiviral treatment for 2019 nCoV infection has not been proven to be effective. As for now, all patients need to be treated in isolation. However, according to WHO, the best prevention measure is cleaning of hands with soap and water or using alcohol-based hand wash very frequently. As a precautionary measure, frequent touching the face, mouth, eyes, and nose should be avoided. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Zahira, for that thorough and detailed explanation. After hearing your explanation, it is definitely no doubt that this virus seriously can impact one's illness, especially for the people who are vulnerable, such as the elder and people who has pre-existing illness. And did you know that because of this virus has been proven fatal, it can contribute to a lot of someone's mental health, where it can elevate the feeling of anxiety, panic, and stress. So it is important we follow the prevention measures that has been laid out by WHO, which has been stated by Dr. Zahira just now. Alright, move on to the next panelist. I want to ask, based on your explanation in the first round, it is clear that there were a lot of impacts to the economy, and it can be worrying if this situation will go on for a long time. Therefore, my question to you would be, how can those impacts be lessened?
Alright, so the best way to mitigate the impact of COVID-19, we have two ways. The first one is the one that has been stated by the former Prime Minister. It has three ways to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. First is to lessen the COVID-19. Second is people-based economic growth, and third, encourage quality investment. Which is there has been invested to 20 billion financial stimulus package intended to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. Alright, the second one is the one that our Prime Minister of Malaysia, which is he has came with the emergency stimulus package, which is bantuan prihatin to help those are affected by the COVID. So we are given bantuan prihatin to people who needs to be helped, and which is we have a few ways, which is we can help them by give bantuan such as BPR, bantuan prihatin rakyat, which is it will help people who are really need to be supported by the financial. So that's all. Thank you.
Alright, thank you Puan Sri Razlin. So we go back to Dr. Aidil. So my question to you would be, what is the reaction of the people toward the policies and restrictions that were set by the government?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zul Helmi, for the question. Okay, reaction from the people. The people might show positive and negative reaction toward the policy set by government. This depends on what government did during this pandemic. If the action set by government fail to lessen the infection or to flatten the curve, people might get angry. Data presented by European Journal of Politics Research shows that some government recorded a downward pattern in approval from their people. What this mean? This means that government get negative feedback from the government and they need to ready for the next election that they might lose the election because they lose people trust. In our belief Malaysia, we once recorded zero number of local case of COVID-19 and we think we have won in the fight against the COVID-19. But some action from our politician, the case rose dramatically and uncontrolled. Hashtag kerajaan gagal once trending in social media, showing that people are very angry with the action from the government. And I think all of this evidence can shows what people reaction for the policy that's set by our government. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again, Doctor, for that very detailed explanation about this topic regarding the impact of COVID-19 on the political aspect. Okay, now we move on to our last panelist for this forum, Dato' Ainul. As an individual who is responsible for all the things that involve the safety of this country, my question to you would be, what are the measures taken by the government to reduce the number of positive cases of COVID-19?
Okay, thank you to our moderator for today. Okay, the stringent measurement taken by the government is a good approach and action to land the curve of the increasing number cases based on the statistic. During my analysis, I found that the main aspect that focused by Malaysia government is health, economy and education sector. So the first measurement is focusing on health related to the movement control order, MCO and close the border. The first COVID-19 cases were reported in Malaysia in January 2019, followed by cases at the end of February 2020, partly attributed to mass gathering during a religious event. At the onset of the COVID-19 outbreak, Malaysia has initiated travel restriction and quarantine. But with a persistent increase in a new COVID-19 cases, the government imposed a 2 weeks of first movement control order MCO starting from 18 to 31 March, which was extended to 40 April until 28 April, then followed by the MCO 2.0 and MCO 3.0. This is requiring closure of all businesses except those providing essential services and items. The main purpose of this MCO was to flatten the curve of new cases. For community-based control measure, the outdoor restriction measures were also enforced, whereby only one resident from a family was allowed to go out at one time within 10 kilometers of the residency. Checkpoint were set up to check the temperature at the entry point of residences, supermarket and food store. For better prevention, citizens of Malaysia had been prohibited from leaving the country, and foreigners were also not allowed to enter the country. The media also take an action, continue to provide updates and general advices. Moving on to the second aspect, focusing on economy, which is emergency stimulus package. Due to the slow down business activities, the interrupted supply chain of enterprises and personal quarantine, the outbreak of COVID-19 not only caused health concern but also had severe impact on the Malaysian economy. Thus, to stabilize the economic growth, to promote investment and to encourage businesses, the Malaysian government announced an emergency stimulus package which is among the largest in the world. The public, from entrepreneurs to farmers, from fishermen to those paid daily wages, are concerned about their finances. Thus, the government allocated a special package of 10 million ringgit for small and medium-sized enterprises to ease the burden of small and medium enterprises. The main purpose of this package was to guarantee 2/3 of the country workforce remain employed. The package could give benefit to about 4.8 million workers by giving them a subsidy of 600 until 1,200 ringgit. Besides, a 6-month reprieve will be given to individuals, small and medium enterprise on the repayment of their existing loan. So lastly, government in the power of Ministry of Education and Ministry of Higher Education advised all the education sector to close and suggested all the teachers and lecturers to teach students through online learning platform and other innovative teaching practice to reduce the delay in education progress. The educational institutes were encouraged to start home-based learning using online classes. In the future, this can help to develop online educational platform. Many universities also show significant initiative in taking on social responsibilities by providing food and other necessity to local and international students. Government also provide the daily basis internet plan to students to ease them to get internet connection, a good internet connection during their online classes. So that's from me.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dato, for that clear and in-depth answers. It shows that the government is doing the best they can in regard of this situation. With that being said, we have reached the end of this forum. All in all, after hearing the discussion and statement from all of the panelists, it is clear as day that this pandemic has greatly impacted Malaysian society in various ways, whether it was the political, economic, and also social sectors. So as a responsible citizen, I encourage all of us to do our best to break the COVID-19 change by always following the SOP and also immediately register for the vaccine injection in order to successfully achieve herd immunity. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah once said, "We may not have won yet, but we have not lost. The responsibility is now on the shoulder of all of us to take care of ourselves, our family, the community, and the country." Alright, that's all from us. Thank you again for joining us in this forum.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you.
Thank
Alright.
you.